Hello, Hare Krishna. My name is Jvalamukhi Dasi, continuing the J File series. This is number 28, My Hoo-Hoo and the Destiny of the Universe, the Golden Age, the Great Sinister Movement, and the Firewalk of a Hare Krishna Kid. It is Kartik now. This was recorded in October of 2011. It is Kartik now, the holiest month, the best, the purest of purifiers. Any spiritual vrata, vow, even the smallest, will yield huge results because this month is particularly dear to Lord Sri Krishna. I explain these things to my boys. They love taking turns, lighting the ghee wicks to hand to devotees as they approach the altar to offer their love to Lord Damodar, he who is bound by the affection of his devotees in the form of this flame. The effect of performing a Kartik Vrata lasts for 100 lifetimes. The festival of offering lamps to Lord Krishna glorifies Lord Krishna's pastime of being bound with ropes by Mother Yashoda. Thus, he is called Damodar. I too love this month. Singing the Damodar prayers with my boys makes me feel like I am doing something right. Maybe they will grow to love him too. I often worry that I am not spending enough time with them, teaching them all of the beautiful stories and philosophy that I learned as a child in Bhagavatam class. My oldest son has re-inspired us to chant our 16 rounds daily and attend the morning program. When he was just a toddler, he would find my japa beads, my prayer beads, and bring them to me. So did my second son, for that matter. I have the freedom and focus in my heart space now to do this with real feeling. I do live in the spiritual world when I hear and chant. Even my little second son composed a song that goes like this. We're not supposed to be down here. We're supposed to be up there. We're not supposed to be down here. We're supposed to be up there. Repeat in a very, very cute husky voice. And there you have it. I have a strong sense of happiness and joy coming from my connection with the holy name and the deities. Krishna is reciprocating my intention for love. It has been this way for weeks now since the meeting, and more realizations are there. The meeting that I had with His Holiness so-and-so, Swami, went fairly well, I thought, or as well as could be expected. The main point being that we wanted to do a seminar or workshop for healing through the positive power of the mantra. I have to work out everything and all of the speakers, but it would be for the second generation and abuse survivors. I am feeling Krishna's hand in this one. He was nice enough. We were testing the waters with him, and so only revealed the nature of the abuse with no names or events attached. He told us that back in his day, before he joined the Hare Krishna movement, he had had some experience with the devil and knew that he was real. He then went on to tell us that we would be better off just putting our energy into the positive things, hearing and chanting about Krishna, never mind the dark stuff. He did most of the talking. Afterwards, Mahaprabhu was quite upset, though you would have never known it from her controlled expressions. Once again, one more Swami completely missed the opportunity to receive enlightenment and realize directives from an equally and more than qualified God sister. After all, he was the man, quote, a guru, and she was, well, let's just say, in his eyes, she was just not that important. She is a woman. It is time for ISKCON gurus and leaders to keep their mouths shut, seems like. It is time for them to listen for once. They will learn something if they do. Of course, maybe they talk so much and shut others down because they don't want to hear. They will not like it. This is no longer the same organization Srila Prabhupada founded, where women were protected under his guidance. We had been with the wolves far too long. We were our bodies with them, not the spirit soul, as Srila Prabhupada respected us to be. After our meeting with His Holiness So-and-so Swami, I found myself doubting if I really didn't just make up all this stuff about ritual abuse. The self-doubt is ever present despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. See, I'm just fine. I'm standing up with a smile on my face. I'm functional, sort of. He made it sound so simple. Just focus on the good stuff. Never mind what happened or didn't happen, right? Just chant and be happy. A quote from a notorious Nazi doctor in Auschwitz, Joseph Mengele. The more we do to you, the less you seem to believe we are doing it. This is the bedrock of mind programming, denial. How could people like him even exist? Our minds question. So the thing is, people who have conscience and cannot conceive that there are others who have none at all. It is like they were born without some organs. They are not like the rest of us. They prey upon us, and we do not believe that they even exist, even as they devour us. If we did, it would be too scary to go on about our daily lives. As soon as I questioned my experiences and flashbacks as being false, my whole body felt immediately sick. The fear rose up and threatened to engulf me. Quick, quick, where is the bliss out, aka denial button again? How did His Holiness So-and-so Swami make that sound so easy? Just chant and be happy. Never mind the devil and all the dark stuff that was done to you. Oh yeah, because his version is cheap and easy. He wasn't satanically, ritually abused since he came out of the womb in the name of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. It is fairly easy for him to chant. It must be nice. I guess he has a different service. Mine is apparently to stay alive however I can. The time goes by. I measure it in my weekly sessions with Mahaprabhu. Here comes some relief, finally, sort of. It's like pooping, no fun, but what a relief. She opened my energy fields and did some balancing. I was feeling blissful on the table, dancing in my heart with what was moments ago a nasty evil spirit. He had a huge change of heart and was accepting Lord Gauranga's mercy. We spun around together, the transformed subtle being and I. Glorious! This connection to Krishna I am feeling is the source of my happiness, not the absence of the painful situations, not the material gain or so-called peace. I do not doubt that what was revealed to me and what I have felt is real. I also don't doubt that the bliss of Krishna consciousness is real and very, very, very powerful and immediate. I am extremely blessed. I am given tools of compassion. I have insight into the devil's, aka Mr. Cully's, favorite flavor of ice cream, i.e. ritual abuse in the name of religion, government and family, overall degradation. I am daily gaining a healthy fear of this material world. May I never fall down again into forgetfulness of Krishna. I had my first spontaneous memory a few weeks ago. No official session was required. My body is primed and ripe. The memories are oozing out. My husband and I were having an intimate moment, and here comes the voice that says, "Pain is pleasure. Pain is pleasure." I took a shower and just stood there, a bit dazed while it played itself out in my head. As of yet, there are still no emotions that accompany it. When all of us kids were around 10 or so, we stayed at my aunt's house for 2 weeks while Mom and Dad were visiting Florida, selling some paintings at a mall to make some money. My uncle knew this would be an opportune time for some of his version of fun and family enrichment. He invited someone whose name was Cassidy. He was a large man with a beer belly. He was someone from the group, either some sort of leader or just my uncle's pal. There were dog cages down in his basement. My older brother was in one of them and made to watch while my uncle and Cassidy raped me. I don't remember the layout of the basement, but I was in one cage as well, something that had some chain link on it. My aunt was saying, that's what happens to little whores when they come over. My uncle and that other man communicated that this was what little girls were for effing. As I write this, I am watching my body beginning to feel the body memory of the sexual experience. There is something to this. It feels like the same arousal when I went through the body memory of being sexually stimulated by the pediatrician. He apparently knew anatomically where all of the nerve endings were and the different stages of childhood development. What's a medical education for anyways? There is some kind of programming deep down. Consciously, it is totally disgusting. Mahaprabhu reassures me over and over again that when I own the shame of my body betraying me by feeling pleasure, do not own the shame of having your body respond to stimuli. The body is a machine, in a sense. When you press the buttons, things happen. You did not choose this. This is not your lust. This is not your choice. I did not want this. They did wrong, not me. They used my God-given body against me and tried to make me feel bad and own their crimes. But still, it is so confusing. So many crossed wires, all fused together and loaded with trauma and misused philosophy. Mind programming's one's own neurons that fire together, wire together. My poor husband, what a job he signed up for. I'm so sorry, honey. I'm getting better, I think. This may take a while. Just want to pause there a minute. There is so much healing to do from sexual abuse in Kali Yuga. It's like every other person almost. The statistics are staggering, both for little boys and little girls. Sexual abuse is a very, very rampant and real thing, especially because it is the core of Satanism, to abuse little boys and little girls. And even if the family that you were born into is not a practicing Satanist, still their culture is very, very prevalent. So the culture of pedophilia is all throughout modern society. And because of that, we see, and that's purposeful. They're trying, the Satanists, the people who engage in dark religion, they have this sick idea that you have to sacrifice that which is dearest to you to gain power. They have an impersonal understanding that you don't actually exist. I don't actually exist. It's nirvishesha shunyavadi. And so they think that they can do no wrong and that there is no consequence. And they are drawn and forced by lusty desires to act. And when they can extract the innocence of a child, they finally feel something, some relief, some, quote, pleasure or happiness. So this is all over the place in many different versions. You don't have to be from a satanic ritual abuse family to have had these things happen to you. But again, it is satanic in nature, child abuse. And the fallout from it is homosexuality, is transgenderism, is suicide, is mass confusion about the self. Typically, when you're abused as a child, a lot of times there's repression until there's a situation later in life where you feel safe enough to recover it. But until then, the mechanism of sexual confusion often acts out in sexual confusion of being attracted to the same sex, or being over-sexualized, or in that, for some people, it's becoming frigid or under-sexualized. So a huge part of my journey has been how to heal from sexual abuse. And of course, Srila Prabhupada gave us the highest philosophy of sex being non-different from Krishna when used to beget Krishna conscious children. But from that highest stage of the use of sexuality, coming up and through my abuse background has been quite a journey for me. And part of it was reclaiming the sacredness of my body, that this body is my body. It was given to me by Krishna. You know, it's not something to be rejected and shamed because it has nerve endings And that was so mixed up and so convoluted with the philosophy, so messed up. So it wasn't coming, like when devotees preach about it, they're not coming from the place Srila Prabhupada was coming from, like completely descended from Goloka Vrindavan and giving the ultimate love of Godhead and saying, replace this love of Godhead, replace this lust for love of Godhead. You know, often the preaching around lust and sexuality is coming from a very sick place because people haven't healed their own stuff. And you can't just jump over it. You can't be an artificial transcendentalist. That's why the Grihastha ashram is there. That's why loving relationships have to be there, so you can work this out with your husband or wife in such a way that you can actually be free of it and not just rejecting it, thinking that, you know, there's so many fake transcendentalists. You know, you can stuff something, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to be born again to have to deal with it. You actually have to work it out of your system so you are genuinely attached to Krishna's feet and genuinely uninterested in the urges of the body. And that can't happen artificially. A wound doesn't heal when it festers. So you have to actually heal it. So that was, this is part of my journey, and I'm just being very, very raw and real about it. I know a lot of people struggle with this, and I'm not trying to be inappropriate here, but it's a real thing, and it definitely relates to your attitudes about yourself and Krishna, because the root of your sense of self was violated when you have sexual abuse. And you have to, you know, the whole process of Krishna consciousness is self-realization, and that has to be healed. It can't, you know, one man's food is another man's poison, and one man's poison is another man's food. So in my journey around healing from sexual abuse, and of course it wasn't just sexual abuse, it was massive satanic, horrible yuckiness abuse, and all of which contained sexual violations. A huge part of it for me has been to accept my body as belonging to Krishna, accept that this body was made the way he made it, to feel pleasure, and to use that to actually to take out a thorn with a thorn, so to speak. And that my healing is that analogy I used before, you know, poison, one man's food is another man's poison. For me, rejecting any intimacy with my husband was easy for me because I was so sick of that whole thing. I wanted nothing to do with it. But what did it do? It kept me isolated. It kept me angry. It kept me unhealed. And so I had to gently with myself begin to take that as Krishna's instruction in my heart and let down my guard and begin to trust, begin to accept my body, begin to accept my role. And from that, so many beautiful transformations of heart have taken place, not just for myself, but in my relationship with my husband. And we have 5 beautiful children to show for it. And we've been married for 23, 24 years, something like that. So I encourage all of you devotees who are struggling with this issue to be real and strive for the goal, and not be hypocrites and not stuff it, but actually go through the healing process. And of course, not be, don't give yourself license to mess up, but honor those hurt parts inside and work through it genuinely. All right. Thank you. Hare Krishna.